every miracle the Lord performed was realized when the person obeyed the word of the Lord. It just makes all kinds of sense in the world to obey God's command. Our best interest always lies when we obey him. And in this passage, it helps me to understand God never commands something that he didn't give us a pattern or an example. Because one day it's going to be a marriage in glory. But Jesus was particular concerning who would be his bride. Jesus is particular in who will be yoked up with in the world. He will not marry the world because the world would be a marriage of unequally yoked. Because Christ's bride must be a believing bride. Christ and his bride must have essential compatibility. Christ and his bride must have a shared nature. Christ and his bride must be able to remain in fellowship. Christ and his bride must have communion together. So I tell these parents, tell your son, look for a believing woman to make her his wife. Tell your daughter to look for a believing man and hold out till you find a believing man and make him your husband. Because every Abraham needs a Sarah, and every Sarah needs an Abraham. Every Isaac needs a Rebecca, and every Rebecca needs an Isaac. Just like Mary needed a Joseph, and Joseph needed a Mary. Just like Boaz needed a Ruth, and a Ruth needed a Boaz. Just like Aquila needed a Priscilla, and Priscilla needed an Aquila. I'm on my way to my seat when I tell you I think there was a great tragedy in the land of America when Whitney Houston hooked up with Bobby Brown. You can't tell me it was an unequal yoke. Here is a girl that's brought up in the house of the Lord, hooking up with a boy that seemed not to know him, and you know the tragic tale. And so I tell you, we've got to hear that God says, be careful when you start toward the altar. Make sure you raise the question, do you believe in the Lord? And when I talk to couples, I make couples understand my first question to you is not do you love each other. My first question to you is not are you compatible, but my first question to you is are you a believer? Because I made it up in my mind, I'm not going to yoke together a believing saint with a lost sinner. So somewhere else, but God told me that there's a prohibition, and if you're gonna have a Christian marriage, you gotta have two folk that know what happened on Calvary Hill. I made it up in my mind, I can't hook up with you unless you know it was at the cross, 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 where I first saw the light and my burdens were rolled away. Thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, because I know he didn't just die, they buried him. He was a dead Jesus, he was a buried Jesus, he was a Jesus without blood. But early